Out here watering the tomato plants. They need some help. I have fertilized them. I water them. And the leaves just kind of have this curled, withered look. Pretty sure I've got too much acid in the soil. I dug out maybe a small hole like this and filled it with soil. And they were doing pretty good until the plants got a certain size. And I'm thinking once the roots got past that original soil that I put down, they hit that acidic and they're just not doing that great. They're not producing the way tomato plants should. The peppers, on the other hand, seem to like this soil. Hello, everyone.
There's a little bug right there.
Well, yeah, they want to be in the. They want to be on the internet too. Those are those little snowflies.
Just little bugs flying around.
They almost look like cottonwood in the spring, but they fly and they are white, so white they have a slightly bluish tinge on them. You usually don't see those until later in the summer. Yeah, we're just out here hanging out by the garden. So we were reading through some of the comments the last few days, and concerning the water slide, we had some people that were asking, well, if you miss the rope, is it certain death? Like, no, it keeps going for a ways. It does drop off a ways, and it kind of does this thing, and then it ends up like that, maybe 12, 15 foot drop, quite a ways down. But if those rocks are dry, you don't slide, you just stop. Mm-hmm. And we had to put, if you strip a construction bag, like a heavy plastic bag, kind of sit in that to give you a slippery surface, that works really well. You guys might have noticed that most people were using bags to slide. And, yeah, it was a lot of fun. The boys just really, really enjoy it. We usually try to go on a day when it's really warm because it's high elevation and the water is really cold. So if you slide for a while, it cools you right down. You know, I was shivering by the time we got out of there because it was pretty cold water.
Yeah, and there was a comment about a lady. She was wondering where it's at.
Yeah, I can't, we should have maybe brought the comments out, but she says her and her crazy 70-year-old sister would like to do that. We'd like to be there and see you do that.
Yeah.
This is located in the Panhandle of Idaho on the western side, pretty close up to, not too far from Canada. It's up above and to the right of Priest Lake. So when you're in Sandpoint, you need to take Highway 2 Highway 2 west until you get the Priest River. And then you take a right, and there's a road that goes up to Priest Lake. But you have to follow the signs. They have all these Forest Service signs that tell you where certain campgrounds are. And you got to keep looking for the one that says the Lionhead Unit. The forest districts they're called units, and this one happens to be in the Lionhead unit, so everyone just calls it the Lionhead water slide. This is a natural granite rock that is smooth. There's a lot of smooth rock back there, like the mountains. A lot of granite back there, and it's about a 2-mile hike in there. It's not commercialized or anything. The road is fairly smooth except for one thing. A few years ago, they went through and kind of graded everything because people were driving too fast. And what happens when it's a pretty decent grade and you drive too fast, you get the washboard effect. And pretty soon it's just, you know, you go too fast on a washboard and you're going downhill, you can't stop. You just bounce right off into the ditch. So they graded it, but they put all these kelly humps in. And what the kelly humps are is they take a dozer and they dig down like every so often. They dig down on an angle. So when the water comes running down the road, it hits that kelly hump and diverts off to the side. So if anyone is interested in going up there, don't go up there with a low car because you'll probably catch your oil pan and you'll be stranded. I do see a lot of people up there in Subarus, which are, you know, a little bit higher. We opted not to take our minivan up there. The main reason is the particular vehicle we have, you can't downshift so that the engine is holding the vehicle. When you're coming back down, I have to ride the brakes. We did some mountain driving with it, and it fried. The rotors got so hot they warped really, really bad. So kind of a hard lesson learned. I remember one time we came off a long grade, and it was like, man, I can smell them getting hot. So, you know, what do? Wait 2 hours on a 100-degree day to let them cool off? And right after that, they started warping. Hit the brakes, they'd vibrate really bad. So, yeah, best to take a higher clearance vehicle and take something where you can downshift where the engine is going to hold your vehicle.
Yeah, and I'll have more on Lionhead this upcoming video Saturday. I'm hoping to post that video, so make sure to stay on the lookout for that. And yeah, I'm sorry that we don't remember the road names. We just don't know the road names. I know that there is a Lionhead campground.
Yeah.
So you might want to Google Lionhead campground, and that might take you right there.
Right, yeah. When you get up to the Lionhead campground, that the campground is on the left, you're going to turn right, and you're probably going to go up there. Was it 6-8 miles? Maybe
So
10?
it's quite a ways.
Quite a ways. Probably not as far as we think it is because we have to drive so slow and just ease over those humps.
Mm-hmm. But then there's like a 2-mile hike in, and the trail is beautiful. It's well maintained, and it's very nice it's a pleasant hike. It's not too steep.
Well, there's a few places where the road, there used to be an old logging road that went in there. It washed out, and you have to kind of hop across the creek in a few places with the rocks. But for the most part, it's a decent trail. It's kind of brushy in some places. But then there's other places that you could actually drive a quad through there.
Yeah, so when you're on the hike, you'll get to a few little creeks, and you just cross over those, and then you get to a bigger creek. You still have to cross that creek, and you just keep going for another 100 to 200 yards.
Close to a quarter mile after the big creek.
And then you'll eventually get to just follow the path. Just keep following that path, and you'll eventually get to the water slide.
Yep.
And I've noticed that more and more people are hiking back in there. So it's starting to become a lot more popular than when we first went there. And maybe it's because
probably
it's been
because
put
of
on YouTube.
It's amazing. Once in a while, I'll see a clip. I'm like, oh, I know where that is. And it's the Lionhead water slide. Kids are going down, and yeah, a lot of fun. I really enjoy those places that are all natural, non-commercialized. I don't care to go sit in a hot tub, really, that's commercialized. And
there's another place that we went to a few years ago. I made a video of it. It is the
Goldbug Hot Springs down by Salmon, Idaho. That is a phenomenal place.
It is a beautiful place.
Most times when you think of hot springs, you would think down in the valley. This is not. This is about 1.5 miles, 1.75 miles up. Maybe a 500 to 700 foot elevation gain. And there's hot water just coming right out of the mountain. It
was a long hike, and back then the boys were still pretty small.
It was like 3 years ago that we were there.
I'll try to post the link to that video in the description, so if you'd like to go check it out, you sure can. We'd love to go again to that hot springs. I think it would be really fun. As you can see, our garden is behind us. We're harvesting a lot of vegetables. Today I canned right now I'm currently in the process of canning I forget how many quarts, over 20 quarts of dilly beans. These beans are slightly spicy, and they have like a dill pickle brine. They're really, really
Yeah,
good.
so they're regular green beans with a dill pickle spicy
Yeah.
brine. So we'll eat them
Yeah.
out of the jar like
And
like
I
pickles.
often, I follow the recipe, but I like my dill pickles just a hinge of sweetness. So I add a little bit of stevia to each jar, just to give it that tangy taste.
So one thing to remember for those of you who are following Mary's cooking and want the recipe down to the T, she doesn't very much follow the recipe. So anyway, so it's a generally, but it's not exact.
Yeah, I feel I didn't realize that until I started my YouTube channel. And then everyone wanted my recipes. And I'm like, I follow the recipe, but then I add things, omit things, and I change it up to the way that I think would taste good. And amazingly, it usually does taste good. But then if you ask me, how did you do that? I have to think back, and I don't remember. So that has actually been hard for me, because I think I could do great if I would have more recipes for people. Because when I go on a channel, I like to know the recipe.
Yeah.
So that I have an idea how to make it.
It's kind of like when you're trying to fix something and you tear the machine apart and you don't know what's wrong. So you start wiggling all the wires and tightening up every screw that you think might be loose. And then all of a sudden it starts working, and they ask you, well, what'd you do? Like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean you don't know? Well, I did I might have done 30, 40 things down there, and one of those happened to be the right one. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. So I often think, I watch these other YouTubers, ladies, who are wonderful at describing their recipes, following the recipes, and then putting recipes where everyone can find it. And my favorite thing is creating food, making food, and documenting it. But the hardest thing is remembering how I made it. I can give the recipe, but often it's not the way I made it.
Right.
And often these recipes are copyrighted. So I'm always conscious of that. So, yeah.
But we are very blessed with the way the garden is doing this year. Somebody commented that they prayed over our garden, and thank you so much for that.
That was so
really
wonderful.
Appreciate that.
I don't remember your name, but I remember reading the comment that you prayed last year over our garden, and I think you felt it would do well, and it sure did.
Yeah.
So thank you to whoever posted that comment. We read it, and we really appreciate your prayers.
Yeah. The garden is doing phenomenally well. Where we're at geographically here, it's probably not ever going to be quite like other places that we've lived, due to the fact that it's just colder here. Warms up a little later, cools off a little faster, and our garden is right up close to our property line, and so we can't really go cut the neighbor's trees down so to allow it to have sun. But we're very pleased with the way the garden is doing this year. The greenhouse, on the other hand, I somehow overlooked the fact, wasn't paying enough attention to how far the roots on a tomato plant will go out. I dug out a hole maybe about this big around, and about like maybe the size of a cantaloupe, and filled that with garden soil. Well, the plants did very well. And then all of a sudden they started to get this. They're not yellow. If it's acidic, they usually look yellow. But they're a little pale, and they're slightly shriveled. The leaves are kind of shriveledish looking. So next year, like end of the harvest this year, or maybe next spring, whenever, we'll take everything out. And I'm either going to do raised beds or dig a big hole and fill each hole with some good quality soil. I know a lot of people really, really like raised beds. I personally have not really been a fan of raised beds. I know they work. I know Well, for one, the greenhouse, it's just going to be, if I add 8 inches of soil to the top, that's going to be 8 inches of room that I'm going to lose, and then they're going to hit the ceiling. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I should maybe give it a try, but I've just never, well, I guess people do with how they grew up doing things, and we never had raised beds. So, the big thing I'm looking forward to next year in this garden, is I'm hoping to get irrigation system in here, like the sprinklers or the lines. I've kind of figured out how I want my rows and everything, where most things are going to be. I had a strong feeling that when we started the garden here, that it would take maybe 3 years until I get the soil figured out. I think I should probably send in a sample.
Yeah,
that
I
way
think
they
the
can tell
best
me
thing
this
would
is
be to
exactly what it needs.
send in a sample or hire somebody to come test your soil so that
Yeah.
we know right what we need.
We did consider bringing topsoil in, and the main reason I did not is every time I've done that or even brought in manure for fertilizer, weed seed comes in with it. So the garden so far, I've been trying to stay on top of the weeds. There's a few here or there. It's amazing that you can water a row of vegetables like carrots or even like the kohlrabi, and all of a sudden there's a big weed there that was just blending in and didn't see it. Sometimes I'm scanning over the garden, oh, there's a weed, and I go back and where is it? And I can't find it. Oh, yeah.
So today Marvin is in the process of building the new barn, and he's
Chicken
got
coop,
quite
yeah.
a bit of it done today. So maybe we will, what if we would go show them right now some of the progress that you did?
Big concern I've had since we've lived here, and we've been very, I think it's only a matter of time, but we have predators here. We don't have the raccoons and the possums like a lot of people do, like we did where I grew up in Wisconsin. But we have coyotes. I have trail cameras out, and I've seen them probably. The closest one I've caught on trail camera is probably about 100 yards from the house. And we had originally planned on building the barn and everything on the opposite side of the house towards the national forest. The more I thought about it, I was like, no, I don't think I want it over there. I want the buffer of the house because that's where the wildlife is. And, you know, bears, we have bears around. I caught a video of a bear not that long ago. We have bears and coyotes, and, you know, I have not caught a mountain lion yet on the trail camera. I did catch 3 wolves, or saw photos of a short video of them. Came through one time, middle of the night, and that was it. Haven't seen them since.
We do have bears. When we first bought the property, we saw a huge bear track.
Yeah, when we dug the well, like where all the slurry from the well came over one day, and there's a big old bear track going right through it.
Yeah. In the fall is usually the time when when I've noticed bears become more aggressive. They're trying to forage,
Well, what happens
feed, and
is
get ready for hibernation.
the fruit is ripening down
Yeah.
low where in the people's yards, and and they smell that, and they come in, and that's the attractant.
Yeah, that's what attracts them.
Free food.
A bear, if a bear knows there's food somewhere, they can get very clingy and just keep coming and keep coming. So we are very conscious to make sure our trash is in the trash containers and the lid is shut. So they have a very good nose. They smell very well.
Even if the lid is shut, I know over at Marcus and Dora's place during September, October, we had to stop throwing any food remnant, even if it was in bags, because the bears were coming in, and there's a lot of houses there. They were coming in off of the mountain.
Yeah,
and they would just dig garbage bags and strew them all over the place, and had to go pick them up again.
Amazingly, bears, when you string a hot wire or an electric wire around your property, maybe 2 strands or so, they are very respectful of a electric wire fence.
They are. There's a lot of people that hunt in the backcountry, and their best deterrent is they will take fencing along, like 2, maybe 3 strands of the highly visible electric and a little battery pack with a solar and a shocker. And it is amazing. A big mean grizzly bear, when they get shocked, there's something about it that
it deters them very well. And we've been thinking about putting a fence around our property, just because we do have a lot of chickens and we have animals. And
I kind of got sidetracked, but one of the reasons we got to talking about the predators is the chicken coop we have right now is basically a greenhouse with a tarp over it. It was a temporary build that I needed to build something because we were moving into here. And so that's kind of the big push on getting a stable barn and a little farmyard fence. If we start to have, like in the fall when predators come in, I want to have a fence all the way around it, and then electric fence also.
I would love to get a goat and maybe a horse. I think riding a horse would be so fun. I used to ride horses. So in this next upcoming video that I'm doing this Saturday, I interviewed my sister-in-law, Bonnie. She's a long-distance rider. She's a professional. She puts on these long-distance horse races. So I'll tell you more about it in the next upcoming video. There's one last comment, and I don't remember who wrote it, but someone commented on our chickens why they're roosting up on the rafters and not on the roost.
That is actually the natural instinct of a bird, to roost high. I'll get to get away from predators. I did build a roost, and the cross members that I put in there are kind of for strength for the little structure, but I did build it with the intent that the chickens are going to roost there. It's usually a fight for who has the highest perch, and they're kind of territorial. Most nights, each chicken will kind of be in the same place, except for the rooster. He'll hop around a bit.
So let's go over and check out the barn that Marvin's been working on today.
Yep. Some of you may have seen us pour the slab. I've got a nice 6-foot pad on the front here. That's something that I decided when I'm pouring concrete, I'm just going to do it anyway. We're debating, so we have a big door to come in, so it's big enough we could actually drive a 4-wheeler in there if we wanted to. We're debating about maybe putting a small window on each side. These right here are left over from a project from the schoolhouse. We ended up not using them all, and it was like, well, if somebody can use them, take them so they don't sit there. So this was before I started the build, so I kind of catered the barn. I had thought about maybe going a little longer and wider, but these are 24 foot long. They're spaced a little bit wider than normal, but they're super strong. I mean, these are a 24 foot span. We're not going to have a whole lot up here, and I can easily hang on to this, and there's going to be a wall about halfway through. So I love the fact that I'm, salvaging something that may have gone to waste. And then back here are the trusses that we built the other day. They're the gambrel style barn. A lot of people call this a hip roof, but it is not a hip roof. This style is called the gambrel. And this is what they call the beaver tail on it, which is to shed water. It's always good if you can keep your water away from the building and the foundation. And I brought in a bunch of dirt. It's going to all drain away. Really excited for it. It's 14 feet wide and 24 foot long. The sidewalls up to the ceiling and the bottom is 7 foot. Plus we're going to have a hay loft, in case we get a goat. And it's always nice to have room for storage for like kayaks or whatever. There is going to be a dividing wall. I'm thinking the chicken coop wall is going to start from about here. And that'll be about a 14 by 16 area. And that's going to be a lot of nice room from that. Up here on each side, I want enough room if we have smaller birds, like we hatch them out, that I can have them in here. Or if we want meat birds up front here, we have this whole area up here where we can have the meat birds, or if we decide to have a goat. So yeah, the whole thing is not going to be just for the chickens at this moment. Being I have a spray foam rig and it'll only cost me time and material, I'm probably going to end up putting like 1.5 inches of foam in the walls and maybe 2 inches in the ceiling. That way it'll stay nice and warm in the wintertime, and in the summertime it doesn't get so hot.